Okay, so I took the red engine off the brown base I had for it. I also grabbed and stained a different box, same size, same store, but I got a red stain to try that out. But I think I definitely like the darker stain. And then when I did this box the first time, it was just stained and not sealed. So now there's 3 layers of varnish on here. And while I was at it, I did find some switches, and I got a switch onto the ignition module so that I can shut the power off to the ignition without having to open the box and unplug the batteries. And then I bought, someone suggested in the comments getting a rubber grommet for this hole that the wires are going to come out of. So I found a box of rubber grommets, and I because they're super cheap to get a variety box, and I just picked a good sized one for that. So now that we have this brown box varnished up, I'm gonna reassemble this here. So we'll start by setting the ignition and putting the spark plug wire through the hole, and then I've got this switch here. Oh, and the switch, the hole I did for the switch is up in the front corner. That was poor planning. I'm gonna have to use some double-sided tape and hook the ignition up to the lid. Rats. Well, if I redo this box again, I will have to remember to make sure this hole is down on the back corner. But we'll just leave that set in there so that we get the ignition wire out, and I will set the poke the ignition trigger back down through the grommet. Yeah. Alright, well, because I just picked a direction for this to sit on the box. If I redo this box again and have the engine face the other way, that way, because I have the fuel tank mounted on the back by the hinges, the switch I can swap those two and have the fuel tank up front and the switch back by the hinges, so that it's not as long a wire. But things we learn. So the holes that I drilled in the box for these bolts are exactly the right size, so I actually have to thread the bolt down through the hole in the box, which is kind of nice, because then when I tip this up, they don't just fall out. So we got washer, nuts, and I will put the ignition ground on this upper one here, put another washer on there. And then use that to hold. While I tighten this all down. There we go. And we'll get the back side. That one is always a bit harder because it got the push rod above it. There we go. Now, that's all good. Oh, I put an extra washer on my ground, so I need to grab another washer. So I didn't have that set up that way before. So there we go. Alright, well, now there. Okay, those are tight, and now I gotta mount the fuel tank. And remember, the fuel tank has the threaded hole in the bottom, so I'll put the bolt in from underneath. And here we go. You can see the nipple on the fuel tank is that way so that it just clears the base, and I can pull the fuel line across underneath to connect on this side. So there we go. And then I'm going to have to grab some double-sided tape to stick this to the underside of the box here so that the switch reaches my hole.